As we all know, the ethnic fashion industry, it has been dominated by the unorganized sector, but we see a lot of organized players entering the arena and taking the space further. But how is it going to shape up? Are consumers willing to make a shift from unorganized to organized? And how these players are putting in efforts using technology to make more advancements in this sector. So let's take the conversation ahead. And Vidyut, I'll start the conversation with you. So I want to understand how is the ethnic fashion scenario evolving here in India?
This was a sector which was earlier dominated primarily by a lot of unorganized players, and every city has actually a location inside that where people come and buy ethnic wear. Like Karol Bagh is one such area. In Mumbai, Santa Cruz is one such area where people used to come and buy from the unorganized sector. And then we saw the entry of one player who really revolutionized the entire men's ethnic wear segment, the segment in which we operate. And therein, we saw a fast conversion which happened from unorganized to organized, primarily led by a trend that people looked at the brands became aspirational, there were a lot of celebrity endorsement around that. So it became aspirational for people to come and shop from these brands. Somewhere there was an underlying promise of quality, trust, and consumer engagement which started happening. So that's where I see the entire market which evolved into where it is today. We see more and more organized players today entering this segment, and what it's doing to the segment is there's a conversion which is happening from unorganized to organized, and the sense that we get is in the next 2 to 5 years time, probably we'll be neck to neck as between organized and unorganized. That's the sense I get. uh, I also see that there is a lot of trends which have started coming out of this entire process, because people, as more players, organized players come in, they do a lot of brand engagement with the consumers. They try and figure out what's really working in this segment, and then do it in a very professional kind of a marketing which happens. This leads to faster conversion of people coming in, a lot of consumers aspiring here. And there are different segments which have started getting created within the men's ethnic wear segment. And depending on which segment you want to cater to or which segment you want to latch on to, you see a lot of demand which is coming in. And consumers really converting from unorganized into organized.
The consumers are converting. Even we have seen a lot of new age brands entering the arena, like Shobhitam has entered the arena. So Panna, I want to understand, you being an ethnic fashion brand, how difficult was it for you to establish yourself here in India specifically? And were there any challenges, like, I mean, funding challenges, maybe government support challenges? So did you face any such challenges, or how the ecosystem is supportive to it?
Yeah. I think just as any other business, yes, we did see challenges. And so just to give some background, Shobhitam is into the ethnic fashion space. So we primarily into handcrafted products, handloom arts and crafts. And the premise is that, India has such a rich heritage in terms of art. How this panel was introduced, they mentioned this, there's so much heritage, there's so much variety. Just like, the number of languages that we have that many weaves. So there are two big challenges that I see. One is ethnic wear slowly giving away, to the vagaries of fast fashion, Western wear, and so on. So somewhere I think we are adopting to the West and, losing our own culture. So that's primarily the big challenge. And second, within the industry is authenticity, the trust factor. Now, with so much that our country has to offer, we still hear stories of foreign tourists coming over and getting scammed, right? Something that we are not proud of. So the challenge is building the trust, building the authenticity factor. Um, a sari woven in Banaras is called a Banarsi sari. A sari woven in Kanjipuram is called a Kanjipuram sari. And yet, if you go to the market, saris are sold as silk saris, are sold as Banarsis and Kanjipurams when they are manufactured elsewhere, right? So how do you? And what they're doing is really tarnishing the market, right? So that's the biggest challenge. And counterfeit products are sold at a much lesser price, right? So how do you justify? And in my own experience, I've seen many weavers, people at the grassroots level, who've thought of changing their profession, from being weavers to something else because of all that's happening here. And so things that we are actually doing to change that is disruption with technology, right? So tighter controls, more regulations, such as the Silk Mark certification, the Silk Mark Organization of India, ensuring that your products are GI tagged and so on. So having tighter controls to those would be a challenge, would be the solution to this challenge.
Okay, so Avnish, as she said, it's a labor, love, everything is put in to weave ethnic wear clothes, right? So I want to understand how can an ethnic brand grow at a speed at which the other brands in here in India are growing, making sure that all these factors are taken into consideration.
So, firstly, I think I would pardon not making Charu wear a sari or a suit today. I promised her in the last event that she would be wearing one ethnic garment, but I think it was a great time to wear one ethnic garment. It's a topic of ethnic. So, next time for sure. And secondly, I think how Mr. Vidyut said, probably in the journey of Neeru's, we have done everything what he said. So, we were highly unorganized as a brand. Probably today we are organized, that is ticked. We are there at multiple locations. Like he said, every city has one street which is meant for ethnic shopping. So probably we are there in more than 20 streets like that in India, which are dedicated for ethnic. So that is ticked. Third, push of lot of brand ambassadors to make the brand more popular and to make influence people to start wearing ethnic. I think as a brand we've done that a lot, from a Karishma Kapoor to a Sonam Kapoor and so on and so forth. And lastly, what Charu is trying to say is, why can't one brand expand rapidly? So that is what we even tried at our brand, from being just a regional player, how one could go from one street, one city, one state, and can we do something nationally? So I think all these 4 waves, 5 waves that we've mentioned in the last 10-15 minutes, I think as a brand journey we've done almost all in the story of Neeru's. But now when you talk about the ethnic wear industry to grow more rapidly, so I think that word unorganized, I think, was first for the front end. Actually, it is more for the back end. So the challenge for ethnic wear is all about the back end. How manufacturing can become that robust that retailers like us can be more price conscious, enjoy margins so that we can expand faster, because end of the day it's business. Practically you need to make money to make more number of outlets available for your particular brand. You need more season planning that has to come. And what happens in ethnic is, everybody is an aspirational person here. You go on Friday for a movie in a multiplex and you walk out and you suddenly say, hey, what Deepika or Alia was wearing, now I want to wear that. Sitting at OTT, you see a Hira Mandi series and you want to suddenly start wearing Hira Mandi. But which brand is there to give you that? And that is all ethnic. So you are putting us into pressure that I want this quickly in your store and at a price that I can afford. So that has to be made in that X amount of lead time. Unlike in Western wear or in men's wear, you're talking about depth, but in ethnic wear, it's about the width. So when you go, you don't have a small, medium, large sari. You have 10 sarees, all 10 are different. Maybe 3 colors, but all 10 are different. So the challenges are plenty, but not from the front end operational point of view. I think India has surpassed all of that. We've attended forums when, I remember saying almost a decade ago in one forum that ethnic wear has started getting respect in malls. We are getting a zone of ethnic wear. To today, that the mall first comes to a vanilla store like ethnic and says, you have to come for sure. Let's see what happens later. So I think all that stage stage has passed by. It's all about the back end. And from the weavers, like how she mentioned about Kanjivaram, Banaras, or if you're sitting in production hubs like the China of India, which is like Surat, how they are trying to escalate their fabric processing, places in Delhi, Bombay, which are high fashion areas where a lot of intricate embroideries are done, in places like Bareilly and Farrukhabad. So all these are places that make ethnic wear that charming, that sari, that lehenga, that suit, that kurti. That whole impact comes when all of us kind of come together, and as an industry we have to see how robust we can make the back end, then to enjoy the front end. So I think that is still a challenge, but we are getting there. I think we have evolved over the last decade, and I think somehow that made in India worked well for us, and I think it's doing really well, and it's got so deeper into our souls that everybody is trying to manufacture things in ethnic wear so well, which we never thought as an ethnic wear brand. We are there in this industry since 4 decades, but I think the past decade was the best, but I think the next decade is going to be the super best for ethnic wear for sure.
Yes, the perspective is changing here in India, and large business houses like ABFRL are also entering the arena. So, being at a company who has a lot of brands, how do you look at the ethnic segment specifically?
I think two things strikes one about the ethnic market. One of them has been spoken about, so I won't talk much about it. How a large chunk is unorganized. The second part is most segments seem to have the largest market in the lowest price points and the smallest market in the highest price point. Whereas because of the event called an Indian wedding, within ethnic, the opportunity is quite large at most price segments. Therefore, at ABFRL, what we have now is we've acquired some companies. We're working with some of the creative founders, and therefore we have a portfolio that spans from, say, premium, which is TCNSW, to super premium, to Bristol luxury, to luxury. I think I'll just add one point to some of the points in terms of what's going to drive the growth going forward. I think one is, of course, the sheer opportunity from entrepreneurs to the Birla Group to various other groups. Everyone's seeing the opportunity. Someone's asking me, why didn't you see the opportunity 10 years earlier? I have no answer to that question, just that everyone seems to have. There is a time sometimes for these things. But I think the market is ready. And I sometimes think the next 3 to 5 years are absolutely critical. Whoever does a good job of, it's a euphemism by now saying to organize the market. Whoever does a good job of that, I think 10 years from now, they will be called very large brands. And what is good organizing? Good organizing starts with having an idea. You need capital because you'll need to open stores, you need to create merchandise. But I think the most important part is the learning subsequently. As you start, because most companies are in startup phase, or they have existed in a startup or a small phase for quite some time, and now the scale up is happening. As you scale up, you learn new things. Some of the issues will be around organizing backend, but I'm sure good organizations will figure that out and move forward. I think what's going to be most interesting is how do companies take a position on understanding consumer preferences and this very qualitative thing called taste. Because unlike Western wear, where it's a pretty much a standardized way of dressing at a broad level, while of course there is a lot of diversity, India is like Europe for at least for ethnic industry, and every state is very different in terms of taste and preferences. So how does a brand that wants to be national, wants to be larger, how does it span this about having a fixed point of view on aesthetic versus accommodating geographical requirements? I think that's going to be the most interesting thing to watch.
The space is growing, the opportunities are, there are lots of opportunities, and everyone has a chance to shine that way. So Sunil, coming to you, being a marketplace, I want to understand how some maybe a single brand or maybe some brand, if they want to outshine at your marketplace or maybe at some other marketplace, what are characteristics that they can include in their brand and stand out from there?
See, Charu, this is very relevant question in today's scenario when my follow panelist has talked about that shift is happening from unorganized to organized. So many brands are actually entering to this arena. So it become very important for them to stand out and stand out from the crowded marketplace. I think one very clear strategy or branding exercise they can do that is basically talk about that unique design and the craftsmanship which they are into. Aparna has talked about and touch base about her brand. I think this brand can actually achieve by sharing their digital and social media platform. They can talk about their story about their product, their design, their artisan material. So all this actually, if you really connect with your customer, that connect actually make an emotional bond and give that loyalty, customer loyalty to you. So it's become very important for a brand to be continuously innovating design, a b always connected with the customer by telling the story. Rich storytelling is very important. Other than that, I would also include some of the uh, branding exercise, like maybe a brand can look for a launch of limited edition collection. If you ask me, brand can also partner with the celebrities. Brand can also collaborate with the high profile designer or any other brand. Brand can also look for offering I would say, a bespoke services and made to order. So these kind of couple of strategies, core is always unique design and storytelling, but there are some core other strategies which brand can adopt and can stay relevant in the period when so many brands are wanted to stay relevant in this kind of a crowded place. This is what I want to say.
So, Sarabjit, as Sunil has touched upon a lot many points, I want to understand what role does technology play in anticipating the consumer preferences?
Charu, I feel, or I must say, I believe, the customer doesn't want to understand the brand. The brand needs to understand the customer. And I feel data enables it, right? So whenever you have to do a buyout for a season or for a year, right? Data enables you to go back, understand what has sold in terms, it's either the category, color, the style, or even the sizes, right? As he mentioned, the demography in India plays a very important role. Each store is very individual, right? So learning and understanding of each store in depth, it's very important going forward. And data helps you, or data analytics helps you to do it. Um, Apart from data, I feel, your interaction that you do with your customers offline, where you meet your customers, understand what they feel or like in your product, or even engage with your store team to understand how to make your product better, or what was a miss or what was a hit, and to understand from your errors, learn fast from it, and move faster. Even interacting on social media platforms, whether it's Instagram or your CRM tool. So better understanding of customer is very important with data, obviously. Then eventually, I've been a core product guy. I've been doing product from last 15 years, and we have launched Son in 2019, right? It took me 1 year or 1.5 years to analyze or to find the right product fit to, launch in the market. I feel somewhere the gut feeling even comes into play. If you want to make a very unique product, as he mentioned, overall the core value of the brand, the ethos of the brand, what the brand stands for, and why the customer will come and buy your product. That makes your brand different from the competitor, and the perceived value also comes along with it, right? How the product is much more unique, how the fabric feels on a customer in terms of using fabrics which are more breathable, and I think the perceived value comes around with all those qualities.
So, Bidut, I want to understand the same question from the lens of men's fashion wear when we talk about how a brand can stand out and how can they integrate technology to understand the consumer preferences. So, I want to understand from men's wear point of view how you are integrating that for men's ethnic wear.
See, there are a lot of insights which we get from technology. So we actually have a large database of in our CRM because it's a 99-year-old company. We've been in retail since 1952, so there's a lot of retail data which rests with us. What technology helps us to do is segment that and create a sharp TG for our brand. Once we do that, there are multiple tools, automated, non-automated, where you reach out to these consumers and try and create an engagement with them. This is a occasion where, so you don't buy it just like that. You will only buy it when there's an occasion. So you have to create a relevance in the mind of the consumer for the brand. Only when the occasion arises, then it is in the consideration set of other brands. Your brand is also one of them, and probably you can hope that they'll walk into one of your stores and buy it. But we are seeing some amazing kind of engagement which we're able to drive through technology, and we see that at times, maybe after 2 months or 3 months, we see that guy actually coming back to our store and saying, "Hey, I saw this, and I was waiting for this occasion to come and buy your product." So that's where it helps us to sharply segment the data and focus sharply on the TG of our consumers. That's what technology helps us to do.
So, Aparna, adding to this, I want to understand. See, ethnic is a very sustainable business, right? That way, because lots of efforts are put in. It's a slow process. But how brands like you weave in profitability into it?
I think one way to drive profitability is optimize, right? And optimize using technology. Now, ethnic is a space which is very, very disorganized, fragmented, very archaic. And the only big differentiator, the disruptor in this space is to leverage technology as much as possible. I think having a technology background myself and deeply using a rich technology stack at Shobitham, I've seen, how tech has really changed the game for us in terms of product design, having inventory visibility, supply chain. So I think the means to it is completely using technology. That's going to be the game changer for this.
So, Avnish, technology is a game changer. What other partnerships can an ethnic brand forge in the future to make sure that it stays at the top? Maybe artisans you have already done, Starcast you have already done, technology is already there. So, what else can we expect going ahead that ways for the ethnic fashion space?
I think in terms of partnership for an ethnic wear brand, because we have to realize that this industry is all about service. And suppose we see scenarios in a store when somebody comes for a purchase of their wedding garments, it's not just the bride, but there are 6 people coming to select one lehenga, or probably one family coming for buying for the other family. The bride's family comes for the groom's family. So there's so much happening related to service. And service is one part where I think I don't know what tech comes in the future. If someone can come in and resolve this entire confusion about how we can better our service to the customers, because the patience in an ethnic customer is lesser when compared to Western, because one garment has 5 alterations. You may have to come for a trial again. And so there's so much happening. As so many people I see, they come with the AR, VR technologies, but probably personally, we felt that, that is complicating our customers and not simplifying. So somewhere we have to focus and make some processes simpler in terms of how we can better our service to the customers. And when you talk about partnerships, it's not just only with the artisans. I see so many budding designers in the country today who are sitting, and even from their house, they are creating amazing stuff. We recently explored someone making amazing just blouses from our household, and we were so fascinated to see that one lady knew the pattern that fits everybody in the country. So making a blouse which has a pattern which is from north, south, east, west, any part of the country, the way she cut the pattern of the blouse was unimaginable. So these are small creations for ethnic wear that we have to keep evolving as a brand. Even if we are doing a menswear, probably some people say in men's, 2 साल पहले का ड्रेस आज पहनते हैं तो अच्छा लगता है, उसको लगता है मैं आज भी उतना ही फिट हूं जितना वो था. बट फॉर अ लेडी 2 दिन पुराना ड्रेस आप नहीं पहन सकते हैं. So what is the solution to that? So you have to keep upping your game in terms of what is that partnership that can bring newness to your stores. So I think so many designers, so many budding designers, so many hidden people who are there across the country who are doing fabulous job. We also came across a very amazing tailoring app recently. The person does amazing services in tailoring. I think a lot of brands, if I'm not wrong, are there here who have associated with stuff like this. So they are into giving you services for tailoring. So it's a seamless tailoring app where a customer walks in, takes an unstitched suit or any dress in your store, and they want to do the stitching, and then how they deliver, how they do the service, it's a third party. So these are some interesting stuff that is coming, and I think such partnerships will make us evolve as brands more. So we are looking forward for many more plugins like this. It's not the software that we need, it is actual the real mindset hardware that we need, that people should come up with stuff like this, and us brands can associate and adapt and then make processes simpler, not complicate but simplify.
I actually want to quickly add on to what you said. You're very relevant. In our own case, we've got a very bespoke solution. You're very, very right. If you think women are complex, getting the perfect blouse for women is even harder. Yeah. So we launched the first bespoke blouse solution. It just makes it a seamless process because we have customers all over the world, right? They cannot walk into a store, give measurements. So it has to be universal, and it's working wonders. So when you touch the app point, I wanted to reinstate that. So providing as much customization, personalized services is also a game changer, and I think technology is the means to get to there.
So personalization, customization. Suraj, I want to understand modern consumers. What else do they expect from the ethnic fashion brands, and how are they different from the traditional consumers which used to earlier come and shop for ethnic wear?
I think if you segment the consumer requirement into products that are more to be picked up with less waiting period versus products where some waiting period is understood. Quite simply, everyday wear, light occasion wear in the first category, and let's say bridal or groom wear in the second category. I think then the occasion and the product proposition decides how customers want it. There are products that you're not willing to wait more than, I mean, if you want to buy something for Diwali and you've started shopping only 2 days before, you want it the next day, whether it's online, offline, whatever it is. That's why in retail we see a big rush towards stores around that time because everybody's doing last minute purchases. But if it's a more planned occasion, I think allowing for the customization and the inevitable time that customization takes is probably how the value proposition kind of goes through. So I think at lower price points, more everyday occasion, availability, the oldest problem in retail, size-wise availability, some of these are bigger levers. And as you get into more higher price points, having it perfect, not just on fit, but also on product and design, I think some of that is the larger lever.
So as we are running short on time, I'll quickly take one question with all the panelists over here. I want to understand one opportunity, one challenge with a solution that you face in the ethnic space specifically. So yeah, starting with you.
So if I talk about the opportunity, I just wanted to mention here that the opportunity is not within India because being a multi-designer, we deal with the high-end and luxury designer. What we see as an Indian ethnic fashion gaining global recognition. Sabyasachi is opening store in New York, Manish Malhotra in Dubai, and Anita Dongre going global. So what I wanted to say here that the opportunity is great in India, but also at the point we are getting a lot of acknowledgement and appreciation. When I'm talking the ethnic fashion industry in India is getting a lot of global recognition, which is a great moment of success for us. We have seen this opportunity in our recently concluded Met Gala and Cannes. This is the true testimony of where we are. And I really like to compliment all the designers and industry and also the media for achieving this milestone. So I see this opportunity definitely for within India and going global. We as a fashion sell and ship our product across the globe from our website and mobile application. US is a big market for us. So this is one. In terms of challenging, I would say, you know, Amnisha talk about that supply chain is the biggest challenge what I feel right now, because designer wear is still very nascent stage. We just actually seen some of the designers are gaining some kind of a name and flame, but lot more designers are still struggling to organize themselves in terms of planning, forecasting, and seeing the right, production or SCM challenges. So these are what is my view.
Sarabjit, if you can add quickly one point and we'll finish it up.
So I feel there is tremendous opportunity in India, especially in ethnic wear. If you give me a chance, I'll open 10 brands straight away. I feel, ethnic. So in India, you have so many fibers being developed right now, and there are so many companies working towards it. I feel cotton as a segment has ample opportunity in India. There are brands that can be made on cotton. Challenge, I feel, is to understand the customer. So whenever, probably if you are even a fast fashion brand launching new styles, every 10 days or 15 days, customer will come and ask, Naya kya hai? So I think that's a very difficult challenge to come over. So, yeah.
Vidit.
I think opportunity we all talked about quite a bit, expanding category. We're seeing a lot of green shoots. So I don't think there's not much to talk about opportunity. It's a large opportunity staring in our face. For us, challenge is that in the ever-changing scope of consumer needs and how the fashion changes, because daily wear is little predictable. I'm talking about menswear. Casual is a little bit more differentiated, and then when you come to ethnic wear, it is very differentiated. And every season you're supposed to look a little different when you come out of the collection. So understanding consumer needs in a very fragmented country like ours, where every 10, 100 kilometers it becomes another country. I think that's a huge consumer challenge that we see, and we see that as an industry also. We think that's a challenge that we're facing.
Aparna.
I think the biggest opportunity for us is presenting the beauty of our Indian heritage. And I'm not saying that everybody around the world has to wear a sari, but you can always have a Banarsi trench coat made with a Banarsi fabric, right? Which is very, very relevant to the global community, something that we offer. So the sky is the limit, and the globe, you don't have to stop anywhere. That's what I feel. That's the opportunity to not just make Indian designs, but also Indian fabric accessible globally and relevant, make it mainstream globally. And the biggest challenge that I see is, the biggest challenge that I see is, like I said, the counterfeit products, right? So how do you actually differentiate between what you have and what someone else has? So having tighter regulatory norms would solve this.
Avnish.
I think the gentleman from Azaz pointed out really well. A couple of days back, I was with with Ritesh Agarwal, CEO of Oyo. And when I spoke to him, he told me that 50% of his business comes from globally, apart from India, and 50% from India. So I think we all know the strength of the Indian diaspora, which is abroad. Basically how we call them is NRIs. So they are the ones who are hungry to buy your product. How is it that we all can, probably not have virtual, physical, however, but presence in places where Indians are there and they're desperately wanting us. So how can we bridge the gap? Can we open physical stores? Can we do stores in US, in Dubai, in UK, Canada, wherever there is an Indian diaspora? So there's a huge opportunity. So we as ethnic wear brands, we can never say for the next 50 years ki ab mera ho gaya, ab hum expand nahi kar sakte hain. I think for the next 5 decades, we have so much more to go. And as per challenge, I think there is no challenge. Challenge is also an opportunity. How Sabi said कि क्या नया देंगे, वो भी एक opportunity है. अगर मैं जल्दी नया दूंगा, तो वो मेरे लिए opportunity है, मेरा challenge नहीं है. So it's how robust we are. I think challenges come with everything. So I think let's focus more on opportunities and grow the entire industry together. And later, next forum, we have a bigger ethnic wear industry and much more organized than what we are today.
Surely, I'm the only one proudly in an ethnic wear in this panel.
Suraj.
Yeah, I think everyone's spoken about opportunity. The way I would articulate it is there is an opportunity for a lot of brands for the market in India, various segments. Given diaspora, given India Pride, there's an opportunity for some of these brands to go global. It's going to take some doing. And I think there is an opportunity for a few brands to become crossover. So I think it's a great space to be in, great time to be in. The challenge will just be the fact that this is currently a highly fragmented, entrepreneur-led industry, and therefore there is no muscle memory of scaling up. There are no case studies of having scaled up. It's all happening right now. And scaling up means a lot of things. The easier part is capital and raising it and so on. But it's more about really how do you engage with consumers, capture market share. I think that's going to be the learning process going forward. And whoever aces that part over the next 3 to 5 years, I think will be quite successful.
So if I have to conclude, the opportunities are unlimited, and apart from that, if there are any challenges, if the industry works together, we can solve those challenges together.
I promote Indian handloom, weaves and crafts. Um, while opportunities are plenty, I don't see a problem with the opportunity. The problem is on the ground, the weaver family, the younger generation is moving away from the art, right? They're not picking up the family owned skill. And the reasons are, I mean, there are plethora of reasons behind that. So how do you see when, so many organized players are entering into it? Obviously, the opportunity is big. However, handloom will soon, translate into powerloom to meet that demand.
Yeah. So that was one of the points that I also mentioned in my previous question. We do not want to lose handlooms to fast fashion, right? And I think one of the way we can get around it is by promoting, raising awareness. I think most people opt for fast fashion or opt for power looms because they just see the cost difference and they think, it's the same thing and I'm getting it for lesser. So it's really about creating that awareness that's going to make a difference.
I'll add on to that. I don't know why people have this problem of handloom and powerloom. Trust me, one way you're saying that an industry like handloom is going back. Secondly, your very self are saying that if a person is getting educated and he's becoming an IT professional or going abroad and studying, neither are you letting that happen, neither are you letting this happen. Let's agree to the fact that fashion comes fast, goes fast today. We are not sitting in 1990s or 80s or 2000s. Today, it's all about giving the right fashion at the right time if you're talking about the business point of view. If you're talking about the emotional point of view, I totally agree that handloom might get extinct tomorrow. A Kanjivaram sari after 30 years will be hung over in a wall and said that this sari is priceless today, which my grandmother used to wear. So are we going to get entangled in an emotional arena, or we want to come out of the zone and actually understand that powerloom has great strength? Today, hand embroidery is happening in Surat in amazing machines. So we cannot say that the karigars of hand embroidery sitting in Bareilly or somewhere, they're getting extinct, because same thing is happening to them. So we will keep hearing these things, but we have to adapt the fact that end of the day, we are creating brands. We will create awareness. Today, sustainability was a big subject everywhere. But trust me, sustainable, Sabi is here, he can probably vouch for it. Every kurti, sustainable kurti will not cost you less than 10,000. Everybody walks into the store, nobody knows what is sustainable actually, but they say, do you have sustainable product? So when we tell the price 10,000, 15,000, everybody walks out. Again, they want a kurti at 1,000 and 2,000. So there is a great, there are two scenarios. One, emotional and awareness that we want to do. Second, if we want to do business. So I think we have to accept the fact, and both are good, both are equally important, and we can tackle everything with times to come. But let's not get so ethnic industry often revolves around this topic. So I think we are so much over this topic now, I feel personally.
Okay, I would just say this respectfully. I agree that both have their own place, but I think it's also important to not let go of one. Right? That's all.
Can I add?
Aparna, is there any government initiative happening? Because I think there are a lot of people who have become very vocal to save the traditional weaving art in India, right? So do you feel there is any government initiative happening to save these art forms in terms of weaving from India? Yeah.
Yes,
No,
yes. There are several organizations, government-funded organizations that are doing it. There are also organizations that are supporting the authenticity of products. For example, the whole GI tag initiative, right? That lets you know exactly where your product is coming from, that exact geographical location that your product from. So yes, there are. And I think the bigger solution is not the lack of government initiatives, but the awareness. So, weavers do not know of these initiatives that are happening and have access to it. So there is work to be done in terms of awareness in that area as well.
So I think I'll just add my two bits to it. I think it's a great question. I just feel and government can at best make policy. That's what they're there for. And there are enough government organizations which probably do that. I think the issue with handloom is the issue with any product proposition. What is the market for it? Is there price value? That's what brands will have to solve for. How can you pitch handloom? I mean, she mentioned it's the first time I heard of a Banarasi trench coat. That's unusual. And therefore, what do you do to take a traditional craft or handloom, and how do you create a market for it? That's the reason the second generation of weavers don't find it attractive, because they're not seeing the market. And that's a task for government to propagate, sure, but for business to figure out, or some brand, some designer to figure out. And I think it's a continuous journey. The only thing is, I think 10 years from now, at least if you see how the West is going, there's going to be more and more appreciation for things that are handcrafted. Now, who's going to stay the course and make sure that a market develops for this? That I feel is the missing piece, and simply lamenting that is going away is probably pointing out the challenge, but I think we'll need organizations will have to get in and try and solve it.
Thank you, panelists, for taking the question and answering it with so much honesty over here. Thank you so much once again.